I am Jan Beike, and I will be going over the decisions for research and development as well as marketing for Andrew's company in the CAPSIM simulation. So for research and development, this is the first step of decision making, and we focus on the buying criteria for the market segments, and it's comprised of four separate decisions. First is the pricing, which is actually decided upon by marketing, the size and performance, the MTBF or reliability, and age of the products. And we made sure that our decisions fell within the range of the buying criteria to hit the highest demand and therefore profitability. And as you can see from these examples from round 6, for the low-tech market, price was actually the biggest driver at a 41% importance. So for size and performance decisions, our goal was to hit the market at the time when the size and performance we decided upon were the ideal position, or at least slightly ahead of the trend line. And we had to create a market drift table that showed the ideal positions throughout the year by month. Since you would create a product and it would come out at some point in the middle of the year, and we were actually given the ideal positions for each year end. So from that, we used an Excel sheet and created formulas that showed the ideal performance and size for each month within those years. And after doing that, we would just adjust the size and performance accordingly to match the revision date with the ideal position. For MTBF, we adjusted this according to the buying criteria as well as the assumed competition's decisions. So the higher the MTBF rating, the more reliable the product is, and we tried to stay slightly more reliable than our competitors, or at least the sensors that were as similar to ours as. And then the reliability did create some demand relative to that buying criteria. We also focused on the age of the product. Low-tech products preferred a 3-year age. With that 3 years, that 3-year age mark, we were actually allowed to make fewer adjustments to the size and performance of the products, and this allowed the product to age for a longer time. So we tried to predict when our product will hit the ideal position and tried to make that around the 3-year mark of the product. Once it hit 3 years, we would go in and revise it again. And the high-tech preferred age was 0 years, so it was best to be as young as possible in the market. So we would make adjustments more often to keep that revised age low. For marketing, we set the price and we based that upon the buying criteria as well as the competitor pricing. Our goal was to keep prices and demand as high as possible to create more profitability. And then throughout the years, we would slightly drop the product's price as the product aged. For the promo budget, this affected the customer awareness, and diminished returns were seen after the $2 million were spent for this budget. So the first $1 million spent added 22% to the awareness. The second $1 million spent added an additional 23%, while $3 million spent only added an additional 5%. So depending on the amount of money that the company had to spend, it may have been wise to not add that additional third $1 million to that budget. And a third of the awareness was lost each year. So this always had to be factored into the next year's budget. So for instance, if you had a 100% awareness, it required a $1.4 million budget the following year to maintain that 100% awareness. Similarly, the sales budget affected the customer accessibility, and diminished returns were seen after $4.5 million were spent in each segment. So that would be a combined amount between all products in a specific low or high tech segment. The first $1 million added 7% awareness, or accessibility. The second million added 22%. The third added 32%, and the $4.5 million added 35%. Again, accessibility was lost each year, so 1/3 of it was lost. And for an example, if you had 60% accessibility in one round, the following round you would drop to 40% if you did not add any more or change the budget at all, or did not spend any. For the sales forecast, we focused on the sales of the previous round, as well as the potential that we could have had. So for the growth rate, the low tech market would grow at 10% each year, and the high tech grew at 20%. So we factored those growth rates in, as well as our actual and potential market shares. The actual is what we really earned that round. The potential is the potential that we had to earn that year. So we focused on what we assumed, the decisions that we assumed our competitors would make, as well as the actual market share that we had and the potential. If we felt that we should have gained more, and the reason that we didn't gain more is because we actually sold out of all of our inventory, we would bump our production up a bit more, or our sales forecast up a bit more for the following round. And to go along with marketing, we were able to set the accounts receivable and accounts payable lag times. The accounts receivable, or AR lag time, is the time allowed for customers to pay for our product. So increasing this lag time increases our demand, because customers will want to purchase from us, since they won't have to they won't have to pay right away. This increases the length of time between sales and getting paid. Therefore, it decreases our liquidity of the sale, because we don't have that payment right away. So we had to make sure that we could actually afford that delay in payment, and that it would actually make up for, or that the demand would actually make up for that loss of payment. And similarly with the accounts payable, or AP lag time, this is the time that it takes our suppliers to get paid by us. Decreasing this lag time decreases our production time, because suppliers will get paid sooner by us and will actually prefer to fulfill our orders above someone else's. It would cost our company more upfront, but may actually improve our production rate. So we will be able to produce products for our customers, who in turn we have a higher demand for, because our AR lag time has increased. And I just highlighted the accounts receivable and accounts payable on the balance sheet, comparing our company to the competition. And as you can see, our accounts receivable is much, much higher than our competitors. And this is because of our extremely, extremely high lag time, which we were able to afford. So possible challenges that we may see is, among our teamwork, is we need to have that teamwork and civility. It's important to our success as a company. Every single department is interconnected, as we'll see in the other presentations, and the decisions made in one department will affect the other's success. And it's important for each department to recognize the common goal of the company to gain the most profit rather than just their own individual department. It's also key to find employees with a skill set that matches their job requirements, and we should find those knowledgeable individuals and set them in the related departments. It will overall reduce our training time as well as shorten that learning curve for them to really fit in well with the workflow. And this is a simulation, and of course the real world is much, much different, especially if we're talking about an international company. So in the real world, we need to be aware of the ever-changing demographic and buying criteria. We had a set criteria in this game. We knew how much each segment was going to grow by each year, but of course in the real world it is different. If we were to expand to an international level, it would add different customer demands from different cultures and regions of the world. And of course, a company really needs to research those new customer trends to meet those needs.